G'day guys, Shawnee from Life and Tennis. In today's video, I'll be recapping Wimbledon 2025, in particular the men's and the women's singles final, and also one other notable story from that tournament that from my perspective. So yeah, let's start with the men's final. So we get another Carlos Alcaraz, Jannik Sinner final. I guess in some ways it's not surprising at all, but you may have seen my previous video which I predicted that Novak Djokovic would actually win his 25th Grand Slam title. Well, I expected him to at least make the final against Alcaraz. So I had predicted Alcaraz to make the final, but I thought he'd be facing Djokovic for the third time in a row. But then, yeah, to no one's surprise, really, when you look at it, the two best players in the world, the two hottest players in the world at the moment, just dominating men's tennis, not surprising that they went head to head. And in some respects, there were a lot of people, I think, that were a little bit surprised that Sinner won. I mean, he's number one in the world and he's made the past 4 Grand Slam finals. Why would you be surprised? But I guess just because Alcaraz has had the wood on him, he's had won the previous 5 matches in their head-to-head. And I think he also led their Grand Slam head-to-head 3-1 pre-Wimbledon final. So I guess most people were thinking, Alcaraz, very, very comfortable on grass, moves really well on grass, and Sinner still plays exceptionally well on grass, but maybe hadn't quite proven himself just yet. Like, he's obviously made semi-finals before and, come really, really close. He lost twice to Djokovic, actually, I think 2022 and 2023, and he lost to Medvedev last year of all players. So, he's gotten to semi-final stages before at Wimbledon, so it's it shouldn't have surprised anyone that he made the final. Maybe it did surprise people when especially after his 2-0 down against Grigor Dimitrov. It definitely surprised me when I woke up to see that scoreline and then realised that Dimitrov had unfortunately done a pectoral muscle and had to retire. There's a lot of speculation as to whether he would have actually, should he have won the title, would he have actually got through that match, and who knows? You never know with Sinner. He was down and out in that match, but potentially he could have fought his way back. Obviously, he was handed a lifeline there, but after that point, he didn't drop a set. So, in fact, they were the only 2 sets he dropped for the entire tournament, which is a ridiculous thing, to say. Even Alcaraz, dropped several sets along the way to the final. So, yeah, Sinner just played some absolutely flawless tennis throughout. And the most amazing thing from my perspective is that he was able to put that devastating, heartbreaking French Open loss a month earlier and basically learn from that and, put that into practice in the final against a guy who's won the previous 2 Wimbledon finals and is extremely comfortable on grass, plays his best tennis on grass, arguably. So it just shows the mental strength of Sinner and the determination in him and just his ability to move on so quickly and how much improvement you can see from a player in such a short period of time, which is just phenomenal, really. He's by far and away the best player in the world at the moment, and, Alcaraz, you would say, is a close second. But having said that, Sinner made the finals of Roland Garros and Wimbledon, which are 2 tournaments that Alcaraz has dominated at the last few years, whereas Alcaraz hasn't really. He's sort of underperformed at the Australian Open and the US Open in the last few years. So you would say that Sinner almost won on Alcaraz's territory, it's fair to say. So now I think Alcaraz made these statements after the match. He definitely realises that there's work to be done. He maybe didn't have his best match, but at the same time, I don't think Sinner allowed him to play his best match, and he knows now that he has to improve, and I think he's actually motivated and inspired to improve. The best thing about the final for me was just afterwards, just listening to both guys speak so highly of each other, so respectfully of each other, and how they're developing not just the rivalry on court, but the friendship off court, which is just amazing because I guess when you had Rafa and Fed early on, and then even Rafa and Novak, and then maybe to a lesser extent Novak and Fed, you would say that even though they always had that rivalry, to me, it always felt like it took a while before there was a bit more of a friendship off court. Like with, say, Rafa and Rog, that became a friendship, probably around 08, 09. They did that famous ad together. I can't remember what it was for exactly, but that one where they're both talking to each other. I think they're talking about playing like an exhibition match or something, and Fed can't stop himself from laughing because of Nadal's accent. So obviously they were like, at that point they were quite friendly with each other. But I felt like it still took a few years for them to sort of become maybe friends off court, because there was always that respect. But yeah, it took a few years before it got to that point where they were, you would consider them as like friends off court. And even like, I wouldn't even necessarily say they were like friends off court, and like to the level that they are at now, all these years later, where it seems like Sinner and Alcaraz kind of already have that established, friendship and rivalry. And really, like, it seems like it's been much longer than it is, but really they've only had this rivalry for, say, like a few years, like a couple of years really at best, maybe 3 max. It's just insane what these two guys are doing, and it doesn't really look like anyone else is close at the moment. If anything, the next closest player is probably Novak, and he's potentially on his way out, but he's still making semi-finals. So is he on his way out? I'm not sure. It's really hard to say, but yeah, it looks like at the moment Sinner is still the player to beat, and you'd say going into US Open, he's going to go in as the overwhelming favourite. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see what the rest of the players do from here, and also how Alcaraz is able to kind of pick up the pieces and go to the US Open and maybe steal a Grand Slam from, say, Sinner's favourite surface, let's say, which is definitely hard court. So yeah, that was a fascinating final. The other great story, of course, was Iga Świątek breaking through at grass for the first time in her career. And yeah, what a way to do it, winning the last 20 games of the tournament, which is just an insane achievement. In fact, her tournament just went from strength to strength. She won her first round match in a tight 3-setter. Well, I say tight 3-setter. It wasn't really when you look at the scoreline. She lost the first set 6-7 and then ended up winning the next 2 sets 6-1, 6-2. And then from there, every match she got progressively better and better. And you could say that a lot of that is attributed to her new coach, Wim Fissett, the Belgian mastermind tactician, who basically really got her to focus on her footwork and her movement on the grass, and particularly her like quick hands. There were 3 things that she has pointed to as being 3 areas that her coach is really focused on. Those 3 things are her controlled aggression, spin, and patience. So being able to be aggressive but in a controlled way, which he definitely displayed, throughout the tournaments, particularly on a backhand side. That backhand cross court was just an absolute weapon throughout the whole tournament. Spin, which is obviously key to be able to get the ball over the net, especially on a quick surface like grass where the ball's coming at you really, really fast. You want to be able to, get your wrist under the ball so you can create enough spin to allow yourself to be aggressive. And then patience, and not just trying to hit winners or go for lines. Just like, even though it is still a fast surface, it's still pertinent for you to be patient and wait for your opponent to make a mistake, or wait for the opportunity to step in and be aggressive, essentially. And she did that so well. Her movement, I've never seen her move that well on grass. So yeah, phenomenal achievement for her. And yeah, the first time that someone has won a final 6-love, 6-love double bagel since Steffi Graf in 1988 at Roland Garros, which is an insane achievement. And I don't think the first time since 1911 in the Wimbledon final, which is just ridiculous that a woman has won 6-love, 6-love. Or I think anyone has won 6-love, 6-love, like consecutive bagel sets. And I also read somewhere that was her 97th, that was Świątek's 97th bagel set, her 6-love set, which is just like, that's just absurd. I haven't actually checked I'd love to pull up the stats on that one just to see who the next closest is, or if there's anyone else that's had more bagel sets than her. But yeah, I'm sure Serena Williams is up there, and potentially Steffi Graf and a few of those other past greats. But yeah, just a phenomenal achievement from her. And make no mistake, that's a signal of intent to the rest of the field. I think that's, she's now at another level, and given that she, previously grass wasn't her preferred surface. I think her win-loss record at Wimbledon prior to this tournament was 69%. Now it's at 78%. So, she's now comfortable on all surfaces. So I think she's coming for that US Open this year. She's won it before, but she will be determined to show that she can be consistent in all the Grand Slams now. So that's quite a scary thought, to be honest, because prior to earlier this year, or even I think the end of last year, she was probably in a race between her and Sabalenka as like, the 2 best players in the women's game. And then, since Sabalenka had a bit of a run from last year to, I guess, this year, she's made, you know, 2 out of 3 finals and the semis of the Wimbledon this year. You know, Sabalenka arguably is still the informed player in the women's game, but with that tournament, Świątek now has a big case to state that she's the second or first best player in the world at the moment. So yeah, the US Open is going to be so interesting for both the men and the women in that respect, because I guess in that sense you've got 2 clear best players in the world in the men's game, and in the women's you've got, no, I wouldn't say it's 2 clear best players, but certainly after Wimbledon it seems that, yeah, Sabalenka definitely is one of them, and now Świątek probably moves into that spot. You know, potentially it was maybe Coco Gauff was in that position before, but I'd say now Świątek is definitely, that's a statement of intent, as I mentioned before. So yeah, she'll be looking to push hard at the US Open. The other great story, of course, was Rinky Hijikata and David Pell making the men's doubles final, which was all the more astonishing because the 2 guys had, not only had they never played together before, they'd never even spoken to each other before the tournament began. So yeah, just astonishing how they were able to, you know, have this amazing run to the final. I suppose you do see it in doubles. You know, you see it happen from time to time. It's almost harder to win a doubles Grand Slam than it is to win a singles one. I mean, obviously it sounds like a stupid thing to say, but I guess in doubles you see different players winning Grand Slams all the time, and then, you know, you won't ever see them again. Like, you might see a surprise run and then that's it. You'll never see those 2 guys win another title. And especially given the fact that if you never played with someone before, you don't know whether you're gonna gel together. You don't know, what each other's kind of styles are. Like, your personalities might clash. Who knows? But yeah, they were able to, I guess, because of the fact that maybe there was no expectation, no pressure on them, they were able to relax and just enjoy their tennis together. And Hijikata actually referenced that in his post-match, in a few of his post-match interviews, where he said that, he was just trying to enjoy every moment out there on court, and that's probably what brought out their best tennis in the end. I mean, unfortunately in the final you would have to say they did choke a little bit, but I mean, still an amazing effort to make that final. And also for Julian Cash and Lloyd Glasspool to break an 89-year drought as the first all-British doubles team to win the Wimbledon doubles title since 1936, which is, that's an amazing achievement. So well done to Glasspool and Cash. But yeah, I mean, as an Aussie, it was great to see Hijikata make a final and go as close as you could to winning a doubles title. So yeah, but what an interesting tournament we've had, and yeah, cannot wait for the US Open. I know it's only probably a month and a bit away, so yeah, it won't be long before the US Open hits us. But yeah, keen to hear what you guys thought of the tournament, whether you expected it to be an Alcaraz-Sinner final. Did you think Sinner would win it? In the women's, who were you expecting to win? And yeah, any other interesting or notable stories that you took note of. But anyway, guys, as always, please like and subscribe for more life and tennis-related content. Cheers, guys.